And before we go ahead and hold on 1 second. And before we go ahead and get to our question and answer section, which we always do here on the Technology Geek. And again, by the way, that's the technologygeek.org. And I want to point out our sponsor, Roku. A wonderful sponsor at Roku. Go to our site, thetechnologygeek.org, click on sponsors, and click on the Roku. You can get a Roku $59.99 for your first purchase. Wonderful product, by the way. You can watch HBO on the go, Hulu, Netflix. There's a channel for everything on there. Like I said, Twit, Prism Planet, any of them. Everybody has a channel on the Roku, and it's such a wonderful device, and I recommend it to anybody out there that's looking to buy a media device to go ahead and get a Roku. They're really definitely worth the $59.99. Like I said, if you click through on our site, we get the credit for it, and we appreciate that. And like I said, this is a question and answer section for our Technology Geek podcast, episode 12. First question I have is, how can I fix a corrupt virtual hard disk? Virtual hard drives are just like regular hard drives. If it's a Windows corruption, you can run a check disk or boot up repair. Just like you would if it was a Windows machine. If it's a Linux box, obviously you can run an F disk repair. Anything you can do. What I would recommend is with anybody running virtualization, take a snapshot of the drive. Anytime you make a big change. And what it'll allow you to do is if you do corrupt the drive, you can just roll it back to a snapshot. It takes you a matter of a couple seconds rather than having to mess with trying to fix it and all that type of stuff. And that's what I tell everybody to do. Take snapshots of the drive and go ahead and use that as your backup. And like I tell people all the time, virtual disks are just like regular regular hard drives. You can do everything you can do with a Windows or a Mac or a Linux box. You can do as far as on a virtual drive to repair it. And that's I remember there's a lot of companies out there nowadays that actually use hard drive, just like files. They kind of swap them and all type of stuff. So go ahead and once you repair the drive, go ahead and just take a snapshot of it so you'll have it. One question we have is, what's the difference between Office 2013 and Office 365? The difference is Office 365 is in the cloud, whereas Microsoft Office 2013 is going to be on your local machine. Now, Office 2013 is also going to be used for businesses because you can get volume licensing and stuff like that, where Office 365 you can't. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. But Office 365 has a home user for $99 a year. I believe Office 2013, it's going to cost you, I believe, $129 for a lifetime. But again, Office 365 is going to give you product updates and stuff like that. Where Office 2013, you're not going to get any product updates. You bought it, it's yours, and that's it. So I would right now I'm not sure exactly the only thing that says about Office 365 though is you're going to get, I believe, 5 licenses for 5 different machines, whereas Office 2013 I don't believe you're going to, unless obviously you're a business and you buy the volume license. So I would recommend going with 365 if you really want to. The next question, which is kind of an interesting question: how can I scan text into my computer? That's actually a really good question. I actually did do some research on this question before we came on the air because I wanted to, to have a good answer for you. And what you can do is, there's programs out there. There's a free one. It's called Free-OCR, and it actually allows you to scan like 10 pages per hour into the computer. There's other ones called ORC-AD. They're open source. ABYY, obviously you get a free 15-day trial. There's also another one called Omnipage, which you can get for like $55 off Amazon. And what you can actually do with that is you can actually scan the documents into the computer, and then it'll actually convert them into actual text. Now you're gonna have to do a little fix-up. I mean, it's not flawless, but it'll definitely help you out, so we don't have to retype everything. I know I've had people that have actually called me and said, "Oh, I have to retype everything." What I would recommend too is always, especially if you're doing a lot of especially authors and publishers, I tell them this all the time, always print out a hard copy of it and put it in a fireproof safe or something. So if you do lose it, you can always scan it back in using a program like this. So that's what I would recommend for that. How do you fix a failed Android update? Well, if you have a backup of the Droid, I would recommend just wipe the drive clean and just reinstall the Android OS on it and do all the updates. That's what I would recommend with that. Um, there's not a ton of stuff you could do with something like that when you have a failed update. I mean, most of your stuff gets saved in the Gmail app anyway, so you don't have to worry. If you wipe your phone clean, you're still going to go to your contacts and all that type of stuff back. The other thing you could do is contact customer support. Maybe they might have an answer. Maybe you can give them the error and they can tell you what to do. That's another thing. I know it's painful to sit on support, but it's an option. It's something you could definitely do. That's what I would. A couple options you can do with something like that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do with something like that except reinstall the phone or, like I said, call support. They might be able to help you out. I personally just wouldn't bother. But I personally don't like sitting on support. I would just wipe the phone clean and just re-put my stuff back on it. That's what I would do. Especially the Android has a built-in function where when you get a new phone, you log in as your Gmail account. It re-downloads all the apps you had on your phone originally. So it wouldn't be a lot of work if you just wiped the phone clean. What do you recommend for Bluetooth for an iPhone? I like the Jawbone personally. That's the one I have. That's the one I use. It's a really great Bluetooth. I like it. It's got there's an older model which only has 4 hours of battery life, but now there's a new one you can get that has about, I want to say, maybe 8 to 12 hours. 12 might be pushing it. I think it was 8 to 10 maybe. But I would recommend a Jawbone. It's even an iPhone because the Jawbone it was one of the first really good Bluetooths for the iPhone. So I would definitely recommend the Jawbone. You can get them on Amazon. They're relatively reasonable. You can get them on eBay as well. I personally would never get a used Bluetooth because it's in somebody's ear, but you can also get them on eBay. Maybe you get a brand new one on eBay. Don't buy a used one unless you're going to desanitize it. But that's what I would recommend was the Jawbone. That's always one I recommend. Uh, how can I get a copy of Microsoft Office, which I bought with my gateway installed on Windows 8? Um, yeah, if it's OEM, you're not. There's not much you're going to be able to do with it. Um, if it's like I said, if it's Windows. Yeah, if it came with your gateway, there's probably something on the gateway that actually activated it, or a product key that was on the gateway when you reloaded it that allowed it to activate it. Um, and if it came pre-installed, they might have sent you the disk in case you ever had to reinstall. And the gateway would give you the code again. Yeah, that's probably not gonna work. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. You're gonna really, yeah, with stuff like that, it's really tough. I'm not sure what part of Office you need, but I mean, you can use Open Office or Google Docs if you need Office. I don't know. I'm not sure what particular parts of Microsoft Office you need, but I mean, you can use an open source or Google Docs. But yeah, when it's OEM like that on a machine, especially if it's an older gateway, it's not going to work on a new machine, unfortunately. Uh, let's see. Well, next question is, how can I move iTunes to an external hard drive? Well, if you just want to back it up, just copy your home music folder right over onto the external hard drive. I mean, iTunes isn't anything special. iTunes just kind of reads your music out of your music folder on your machine. So what I would do is just, instead of backing up the iTunes database, just copy all your MP3s off to an external drive, and that's it. That's all you need to do. It's easy as that. That's what I would recommend for that particular issue. That's what I do for backup. I just copy them all to an external drive. Um, what's the next one we have? I replaced a failed motherboard on my Dell desktop, and now I get a Windows Genuine Advantage. I replaced a failed motherboard on my Dell desktop computer, and now I get a Windows Genuine Advantage. Oh, okay. What happened is when you replace a Dell see, Dell does something a little bit different than most drive manufacturers do, or most machine manufacturers do. They actually hard code the Microsoft product key onto the motherboard. So in this situation, if you replaced it with a different motherboard than one that came from Dell, you might be able to try that. Somewhere on the machine you should have an OEM product key. You might want to try that. That might help you. If not, you can try slmgr space dash rearm. Try rearming the OS and see if it finds the product key. Wow, see that's another tough one. A lot of tough questions this week. That's going to be a tough one because of the way that they handle, just the way Dell handles their product activation. They do that so that you can't be copyright their products. That's why they do that. But again, like I said, you got a couple of options there, a couple of things to try. Either OEM product key should work, or rearming the OS should work. Like I said, SLMGR dash space dash rearm should work for you. There's a couple things to try there. Try those few things, and let me know how you make out. I might have. The other thing you could do is contact Dell support, and they might be able to help you, but they probably won't be. Especially if you change it with a motherboard that's not theirs. Other issue too is if you ordered like a parts machine off eBay and use the motherboard out of there, you might have an activation key for Vista or 7 or 8 on a XP machine. That could be an issue. Yeah, but the problem is you might want to check the BIOS and see what version of the OS is supposed to be on the box, and see if you can order the Dell discs with that version of Windows on it and load that version of Windows. So that might be a problem. You might be running, like say if you have Vista on your machine right now, you might have replaced it with an old motherboard out of a Dell that you ordered off the machine. The Dell would have had XP on it. You have an XP hard-coded uh, key on it. So that might be something you might want to try. Yeah, go into the BIOS, see what kind of what version of OS you're supposed to have, and see then if that's the case, order the recovery disk for that version. That's something you could do. That would work. Let's see, we're winding down here to the last question. I have a 4W handheld with a loose screw rattling around. What should I do? Oh, this is actually a ham radio question. Oh, that's pretty cool. We haven't had one of them in a while. Yeah, by the way, those of you that don't know, I'm actually a big amateur radio enthusiast myself. I do like it. I've been into it for quite a while now. It's not bad. It's a good little hobby. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually part of a local club, and they do a lot, especially um, with emergency services and a lot of stuff that help with the community and all that. It's really a wonderful hobby to be a part of. You get a technician class license. You can bounce around on the 2 meter bands and all that type of stuff. It's really a wonderful hobby. It's not an expensive hobby either. It's something definitely. It's very techy and something you might enjoy. If anybody's interested in it, send me an email. I can give you more information on it. If you have a handheld with a loose screw rattling around in it. You can open up the radio and look for the screw. Don't use a magnet, but you can open it up and look for the screw. That's an option. The other thing is too, you can send it back to the manufacturer, but that's going to be expensive. If you're, what I would do, I was open up the radio and look for the screw. I'm not sure you got a loose screw in there. That might not be a loose screw. It might be like a loose connector or something off the board. You have to look. Unless you took it apart and dropped the screw in there, it's probably not a screw. It's probably it's probably like one of the pieces off the board, a piece of plastic, or one of the diodes or something like that. So go ahead and dig around in there and see if you can find it. But take it apart, and just get that piece out of there. And the other thing is too, if it's not really affecting anything, if you're not hearing a hum or a whistle or anything like that in the radio, you're probably not causing it's probably not causing any problem. If you don't mind listening to it rattling around, it's probably not causing a problem. You probably don't have to do anything about it. But that's what I would do with that. And then there's one last question I had too, which is another ham radio question, which we do, by the way, we do have an amateur radio section on the site that we do post on, but it's kind of, we don't usually get too many questions about it. Trying to create a 2 meter pole, what would you recommend? What I would do, what a 2 meter pole is, ladies and gentlemen, allows you to bounce around like in the local airwaves, and this person's trying to create a 2 meter antenna. To use, I guess, with their either handheld or with their base station. What I would recommend if you're trying to create a 2 meter antenna, and by the way, if you are messing around with 2 meter antenna, I'm guessing you have a license. What I would recommend is just a regular copper J pole, standard J pole. They're very easy to make. You can there's directions up on the internet. On YouTube has instructional videos. It shouldn't take you long to make one. I made one myself a while ago, and I would recommend just a regular plain copper J pole. It'll be fine for you to bounce around a 2 meter band. I know myself, I get about maybe 50 to 70 miles on my J-pole, so it's definitely worth, definitely something that I would recommend you doing, and I recommend, I think they're one of the best poles around it, especially for 2 meters. When you're just going to mess around 2 meters and 70 centimeter, the copper J-pole work great for you. It's cheap, it's affordable. You can get the parts right at Home Depot, so, that's what I would recommend for that. And that's really all the questions that we really have. It's been kind of a slow week for questions this week, which is unfortunate, but we only got a couple of questions. But like I said, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and send them to me. Go to technologygeek.org. We have a section to submit. Go ahead and submit your questions to me. I'll be more than happy to answer them to you, answer them on the air even as well. And I want to thank everybody as well for listening. And again, by the way, it's the technologygeek.org. We do this every week, and we want to wish everybody a wonderful week in technology, and I want to wish everybody a very fun and exciting Super Bowl. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.